What a long, strange trip it's been. 2020 was a crazy ride from start to finish. For many of us, 2020 was a year filled with nothing but sadness and hardships. But for others, it also brought along a great many things. One of those great things, at least for myself, was the start of this podcast, a long-awaited fantasy for both Sean and myself. But starting this fantasy wasn't without its challenges, as both Sean and I experienced many challenges and roadblocks along the way. So, since a surprising many of you have asked, today's episode is all about us, how we got the show started, what we've covered, and where we're headed, as well as the good and the bad that has happened in this whirlwind of a year. So let's end this year right with a nice send-off episode to wrap up not only the craziest 12 months of our lives, but also the end of Season 1 of this here show. Won't you please join us by grabbing a glass, pouring yourself a drink, and lending us your ears as we reminisce about all things 2020 in this conclusionary episode of Tipplers 2 Cents. Man, this year felt like at least 8 drafts long. Right, guys? Drinkers and thinkers, and welcome back to the final episode of Season 1. I'm your host and creator, Chris Walters, and with me is my very dependable co-host, co-creator, brother, and best friend, Sean Knox.
That was really sweet. I didn't expect you to be that sweet. I don't have a joke.
I know, I felt like that might have been a little too sentimental, but it felt good. Felt good coming from the heart. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. I know this episode is a little unorthodox, but as I mentioned in our intro, a surprising lot of you have actually asked, about how we started the show, why, how we got our name, etc., etc. So I thought, why not save that for our final episode of the year, when everybody is probably going to be too preoccupied making holiday plans to listen to us anyway. No, hopefully you guys will still tune in. I know this might not be the most attention-grabbing episode, but just felt like, the right way to finish this off. But anyway, enough about that for a moment. Instead, let us take a minute to share with you what we're drinking today. Today was, a very special episode, so I thought, why not get us something special to drink? So I bought us some Suntory Hibiki whiskey. I know Sean, and any of you who have listened to the past episodes know Sean really likes the Suntory stuff, so I bought us a good pricey one. So that's what we're both drinking today. So anyway, that's going to bring us to the very last toast of the season. And today's toast is going to go out to all of us. You, me, Sean, everyone. We made it through such a difficult year and through many trials and tribulations. I think, we all deserve some recognition. So I hope you all were able to accomplish what you sought out to do this year. And even if you didn't, don't beat yourself up about it. Just know that what you did get done was enough. You deserve to feel like the champions, kings, and queens that we all know you are. So here's to all of us. We made it, guys. Cheers.
That's nice.
Wow, that was surprisingly good.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got a little back end bite to it, though.
Oh, it's oaky.
It's very good, though. Anyway, guys, that's going to bring us right into our talking points. Basically talking about all things 2020 and how we got started on this show.
So we kind of want to go with how 2020 started out for all of us. I don't really know why we started out the year, like the first 3 months was completely fine, and and then March hit, and it's like everything went to a fucking shit show. Like, did you see that video I posted where it was like like counting down at the end of the year? It's all 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then it's all what the fuck was it? Then it was just like riots, Marona. Like, it started like screaming at you and shit.
Yeah,
Like,
it's basically what it felt like.
holy fuck.
I mean, my year started out horrible. Like, January basically was when I left Zimmer, which is where I was working for, at least I think I was going on my 4th year there.
Mm.
And yeah, January, like shortly, I think after my birthday, or it might have been just a couple of days prior, but that was basically when I got to know that I wasn't going to have a job anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how my year started. And then from there, it just got progressively worse because the coronavirus thing happened. And yeah, I don't know. It was difficult year to start out. But I don't know. It's not so bad now. And luckily, it did lead to this show starting. And that's like why I think, a lot of this was kind of for the better. Because, like, obviously, when you find out you're not going to have a fucking job that you've been working at for, like, a couple of years, you obviously think that's a bad thing.
Well, we had, like, talked about it initially. Like, I think, like, we were saying, like, we would individually want to have our own podcasts.
Yeah.
And I was saying something along the lines of, like, wanting to do it about kind of, like, not that far off of one of our favorite podcasts. We've referenced it before, but Time Suck with Dan Cummins. Because I really like this stuff he does, but there's just like different takes and stuff, and I think that it's very valuable to try to have different people not only discussing it, but also making content out of it, because then you get different aspects of it. Not that he does anything wrong, but like that's where I wanted to come through on it, and that's why like sometimes some of our episodes are a little bit dense and hard to follow. Like, trust me, even like certain episodes that I led with, like halfway through, like getting through the script and stuff, I'm just like, holy fuck, is this even gonna work?
Yeah.
But like at the same time, it's not anything me and Chris wouldn't talk about personally, and that's why I wanted to push for like certain things to go through, because like me and Chris generally do talk about this kind of stuff. Like, of course, movies and video games and all that kind of stuff, but like this gave us an opportunity to kind of get more in depth on like a specific topic, and I don't know, like kind of form our own opinions on shit that we actually care about. Like I feel like probably my favorite episode of the season was like H.P. Lovecraft and stuff like that. That's just because like not only did I already love that kind of the mythos and stuff, but like just doing that episode, I learned like a lot fucking more about him.
Yeah, and it's like, it was a topic that's like near and dear to you because you care a lot about the subject matter and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can always tell if we care about a subject, because in the intro, like I actually do editing for the intro where it's like
we have those special, intros to go with it.
Yeah, I know that was a Halloween, like the Halloween special, but at the same time, I'm like I probably wouldn't have done that for.
Gotta rep my boy. Yeah, and that's basically what led to us doing this. Is just we would always have these kind of conversations. I mean, I think our whole family's kind of like this. Like, really, just likes to talk about all sorts of stuff. And yeah, like that's just kind of what led to it. Me and him had both been talking about like wanting to start our own podcast, and basically it ended up being about the same shit. We both wanted to just talk about a lot of, a variety of topics and stuff like that. So, it's like, obviously we both just came to the conclusion, like, why not do it together? We both want to talk about stuff. We can just talk to each other. And, that was how we got to, making this. And I, for the most part, think it turned out pretty well. I think the only thing that I would have liked to change is just that now it feels a little bit more educational than I had originally intended.
Yeah.
I originally intended this to be more of like an open discussion kind of vibe, and now it seems like we're kind of doing this like lecture on subjects. And there's some of you that like it, and then I've heard plenty of from both sides. Like a lot of people were like, yeah, I really like that. You guys do your research, blah blah blah. And then there's the other people who are like, I really like you guys to just be you and talk openly, and because you guys are funny to listen to when we talk to you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, and that's the thing too, is it's kind of hard to do both, to be like super lectury and tell a whole bunch of information, and then at the same time remember like, oh, I should probably bust a joke here or whatever, because it's like, especially when you're reading it, you know, and it's just a lot to try to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, it really comes down to like, because if we're just like, if we talk personally, a conversation between us could probably last about like 20-30 minutes before we get bored of the subject matter.
Yeah.
So like, if we actually care about something like we do about the show, we do want to write a script, and like most of it, yeah, it is educational, and I would prefer us having enough like material to bounce each other back off of. But like, I'm sorry, like, like we've known each other for so long that like we both know our tells for like when we're done talking about something. So if we did do it that way, our episodes would, you know, like be like 20 or 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
Whereas there is so much more material, because if we're going off of like what we know about a topic, it'll just seem like rambling. Whereas like I'd prefer to actually, you know, have us learn about something. Because also half the time, whenever one of us, because we take turns writing material for the show, generally based off of like what we have decided what episodes are. Like I chose the Dante's Inferno one. You chose a lot of them, actually.
Yeah, I tend to write the majority of them because you handle a lot of the technical side of things.
Yeah, but like whenever it comes down to like certain episodes, like we'll go with our takes, and you can also kind of see our different like humor and shit and how we write, and our, I don't know, like our passion with certain subject. You like I think the biggest passionate one I saw you do was the technological, like the innovation one.
Yeah.
With me, I want to say it was like either Dante's Inferno or like what's it called? The Cthulhu mythos one.
Yeah.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, I think from you, honestly, the Cthulhu one felt like you had the most attention and focus onto that one.
Yeah, like there's other ones I did like a lot of studying on and shit, but it's like the Are We Getting Dumber episode, like that one. I genuinely do care about that, and I think it's an important thing to discuss. But it kind of gets a little bit too like political and down to numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's like you don't want to like bring up too much stuff where it's like you could tick off people or whatever, and just hard to get like factual information from that stuff. Like, you know, with Cthulhu and all that shit, there's source material for it, but
yeah,
for a subject like, you know, Are We Getting Dumber? Well, I mean, a scientist out there could say yes, and then another scientist could contradict him with his evidence and be like, no, we're not, we're getting smarter. And it's like, you know, it's all opinion based, and when you have a subject that's opinion based, that's when a lot of people can get triggered, because not everybody shares the same opinion.
Well, fuck, not even just the opinions. Like with that episode, it was more about like there's kind of, you know, there's two sides to every coin. Like it's like kind of like, from what I got out of it, it was more like richer people aren't, you know, yeah. Like poor people are getting dumber. And yeah, I mean, that doesn't really surprise me, but I don't know. Outside of that, the way we get into shows now, like I do like a lot. We wouldn't have any matter to like talk to with you guys about if we didn't have the script, and we also can't interrupt like constantly, just because then we'd go past like 2 hours, 3 hours. Like there's a couple episodes where we did that, where we just kept like fucking like shitting on the topic, or like kept like making fun of something, and we just couldn't like get past the rest of the material. The only other thing like that I actually really enjoyed was doing like the specific segment, the, you know, Tipplers Take Two. I like really like doing that, just because I don't know, I really like talking about movies and shit like that, and
yeah,
it also, just doing the segments and all that stuff too, it helped me kind of be a little bit more creative with how I edit and stuff, because I edit videos for the show as well, but, you know, videos quote unquote, because if you guys watch YouTube, then you know it's just our icon, and you know where you can also find us and stuff like that. But
that is something we're hoping to change later, but it's just kind of difficult right now. We're already, you know, at capacity because it's just the two of us working on the show, so it's, you know, both of us are writing, and he's doing the majority of the uploading and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, if we added in video there, it would just, that's a whole nother animal that we'd have to tackle. And yeah, like, you know, it doesn't sound like it's a lot of extra work, but it is.
Yeah, I think like just the last time, like H.P. Lovecraft episode, just like writing it, and editing it, uploading it, rendering the videos and all that shit. Like even if the videos aren't like that complicated to make, they still take like about like 30 minutes to an hour to render because I have to make 2 of them. I make one for Facebook, one for YouTube.
Yep.
And then Chris can work on a script for about a week. I've worked on a script for about a week just because you're trying to find shit that's accurate, and you need like time to think on like, okay, what should I put in? What should I take out?
Yeah, and that's the hard part too. Is I think the script is probably the hardest part. Is like just trying to figure out where, because it's like every episode you're trying to tell a narrative, and like that was why the Scientology one was super near and dear to me.
I love that one,
and I think that episode turned out really good. And I'm glad we did it because we almost missed it. And it wasn't until I'm going to give Hannah a shout out, actually. Hannah,
go ahead.
Hannah Lazarin, thank you. Because she was the one who brought up that episode. And she was like, why haven't you guys talked about Scientology? And I just looked at her, I was like, what the fuck? How have we not talked about this?
I think, because we have brought it up, like, I think in our, like, the Afterlife episode or something. Like, we, like, briefly shit on them or something like that.
We probably did, but
it never occurred to us. It never occurred to us to make a Scientology episode.
I just looked at her like in sheer shock, like, what the fuck? How did I almost miss this? So I'm glad she called us out for that. And like you said, it turned out to be a really good episode, I think. And but the point I was trying to make is just you're trying to tell like a narrative. So it's like the way you have to write stuff, is to really build a story around whatever you're telling. So it's like with L. Ron Hubbard, I was really trying to make sure I drilled it home that people understood, like, this guy's a pathological liar. He's done a lot of fucking shady, dishonest shit. He's good at manipulating people. And, like, that was why I was really happy with that episode, because I feel like I really made the structure of that line up well. And I was kind of afraid I wouldn't. But I'm also sad that there was a lot of things that we didn't get to talk about with that one. But there was just so much. Like, honestly, if I tried to include everything, that would have been like 3 or 4 hour episode. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, I'm gonna have to cut a lot out, or just brief it down to its like most basic point, like a lot of the IRS stuff and a lot of the abuse going on in that place. Like, there was a shit ton of stuff you could talk about with that, but it was just got to the point where I was like, so far in on talking about Elron, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to cut out a lot of stuff because I don't want to cut out anything else. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It turned out good. And like, just understanding that we have to do that for like basically every single episode, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, like I think the hardest one for me was what was it? Dude, if I say H.P. Lovecraft again, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. But no, okay, well, fuck it. I don't care. That's the most recent one, and honestly, I was like, oh, we should do it. Like, I'm not kidding. Like last week, I was like, we should do an episode on the ocean. I was like, that was like one of our best episodes.
I think that was like episode fucking 3 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know. It feels like we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, that's what's funny is it does feel like we've been doing this for a really long time, but we've only been doing it for like
a few months.
Yeah, a few months, because I think we started in March or April, something like that.
Yeah, like April or May. I don't know.
Yeah, it was something like that. But yeah, it does feel like it's been a long time.
But no, the reason I bring up H.P. Lovecraft anyway is just because of that argument that but like the little bickering I had with our friend Arthur, just because I gave him the like half and half about, like, oh, would you rather have H.P. Lovecraft or Edgar Allan Poe? And he said Edgar Allan Poe because H.P. Lovecraft was a racist. And I'm like, okay, but Edgar Allan Poe fucked his underage first cousin, so but like at the same time, like I get the argument, but it's just one of those things where like it's a tough topic to try to cover and like to explain, like, okay, yeah, he might have been a piece of shit, but his art is still art. Like it kind of goes to the same for like a lot of artists. Like, wasn't Mozart like an alcoholic and shit like that? And
fucking every famous artist seems to have some sort of weird problem.
Like, who was the guy that cut off his ear?
Yeah, Van Gogh.
Yeah, Van Gogh. Like, and then they're like, oh, well, he was mentally ill. It's like, yeah, well, you still praise him, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, but you like his art,
Yeah, and it's just that kind of shit. It's like, artist plus death equals value. Like, that's pretty much what it comes down to. And you guys don't have to like H.P. Lovecraft as a person. And personally, I don't like H.P. Lovecraft as a person, but he made good shit. And, explaining how L. Ron Hubbard was such a piece of shit. It's not really like us trying to like explain that Scientology is, a hoax or anything. It's just like it's more us just trying to push the right moral, like our moral compass onto it, and not even really like pushing it, trying to more just explain it. Because like if a religion brings people together, like who are we to shit on it? But that it doesn't seem to bring anybody together. Like I'll shit on the Catholic Church just as much for fucking having pedophilic priests in their ranks and stuff.
And that
like
was a point I did want to make when we were talking about the Scientology thing. Is I know we were picking on it pretty hard, but yeah, like he said, you could pick on any religion, honestly. And I'm religious. I believe in God and stuff like that. But I would shit on Christianity, and I would shit on Catholicism. I'd shit on Judaism. I would shit on every religion because they've all done shitty things because of their beliefs and stuff like that. So I mean, Scientology in that aspect is really not that much different when you boil it down. But still, I just, our topic was on Scientology. We did have to point out the fact that he was a major manipulator and a liar and all that stuff. So it's like, if you listen to that and you got offended, sorry, but that's the facts. I didn't really say anything unfactual, at least, according to the sources and stuff. So
yeah, and I think we like made it pretty clear, like where we're like splitting off script, and we're actually like getting our own personal like hits in on him. Outside of that, we weren't trying to go outside anything that wasn't already written down in history. Anyway, outside of that, you want to go in on how we got the name for our show?
Yeah, and I remember somebody had asked me, and I kind of just told them to wait until this episode. But yeah, the name originally wasn't going to be Tipplers 2 Cents when I had first thought about this. We obviously, you should know because we're drinking it right now, but we're both big whiskey fans. And I also thought the play on words would be clever, so originally I wanted to call it Whiskey and Wisdom. And I still am really upset that that's not an available name because that's a fantastic one. But unfortunately, somebody had beaten us to the punch. I don't even think they're active anymore, but they used to do a podcast as well. They have some YouTube videos, but...
Well, they did it for like a decent amount of time. That's why we were just like, I don't know.
Well, I reached out to them. They just never replied.
Well, still, but that's the point. That's why, because if it was like a YouTube channel, like an obscure YouTube channel that only has like a couple thousand views or something like that, we would probably...
Well, they weren't big. They weren't big people. That's why I thought to reach out to them and try to grab the name, but nobody ever replied to me. And I was just like, you know what, it's fine. Because we thought of this name within the same day as we were talking about it and shooting the shit, if I remember correctly.
It was a Philosopher's Stoned.
Yeah, because then it changed to that because I was originally intending on us smoking pot instead of drinking. And then, like, having one person stay sober, the other person be stoned, and we talk about subjects, and then eventually we could, start dabbling in psychedelics and things like that, and kind of get both, like, the dual mindsets of, like, how one person would talk about a subject and how a sober mind would talk about it. But just, we got jobs, we got families, we don't really need to take a bunch of drugs and do stuff like that.
Yeah, and I know I'm not exactly sober, but, smoking... sacrilegious amounts of weed probably won't help.
Yeah. I'm not against weed or anything either. Like, I would definitely do it in my off time, but
yeah. But honestly, if we dug deep enough into our Facebook transcripts, you can literally see us just being like, "Whiskey and Wisdom? No, it's taken. Fuck. Philosopher's Stoned? Yeah, hold on. No, it's taken. Fuck." And then eventually, I don't remember who it was, but one of us was like, "Tipplers 2 Cents," and they're like, "Okay, fuck." And then, like, we checked it, and there was absolutely nothing. We have no idea how this name is not taken, honestly.
Yeah. I think it's because, honestly, a lot of people don't know what Tippler means because one of my friends from one of my former coworkers and a friend, when I visited them, he was asking me what a Tippler is. So if you don't know, a Tippler is just basically somebody who, like, sips on alcohol. So,
yeah. I think it was me because I was looking up synonym. Yeah, that's right. I was looking up synonyms for like a drunk or a drunkard because I was trying to look for something like drunkards or something like that. And one of the synonyms was Tippler, and I was like, oh, that's a fucking cool name. And it was like
it's a cool word. So.
Yeah, it was like a 15th, 16th century like English saying, and and then I was like, Tipplers 2 cents, because like we had said earlier, it was originally more of like discussion based, so it's supposed to be more opinionated, which honestly it still is, but like it's not that we don't put our opinion in, but we still need to lay out the facts before we inject our opinion. But so Tipplers 2 cents happened to not fucking be taken, and it's not like we technically own the name, because really with a podcast you don't actually own anything except our own voices
until you trademark and copyright and all that sort of stuff. But
so
we
if
don't
you
have the money to do that, I don't think.
If you're listening to this, don't take our name, please.
Yeah, please don't steal it. I don't think there's anything legal that we can do to you, but I'll find somebody to hurt you.
So where do you think we got the idea for the show? Because I feel like the show originally was like we said, it was more like opinionated, discussion based, or educational, and we were kind of like being like, oh, we can mix and match and stuff like that. But where do you think we got like the idea for this specific show? Like where we were gonna drink and the reference for it?
Yeah, well, and see, like how we were talking about the Philosopher's Stoned idea, that was where it transitioned into drinking, because it's something we both, don't have any problem doing. I do it enough on my my own time, so and yeah, it's like, I wanted that kickback kind of vibe to it. That's like one of the aspects that I feel like got a little bit lost as the show went on, and honestly as the show started, because the show started out more educational than I intended. And I know that sounds like I'm saying it like a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. It just didn't start out the way I had imagined it to. But I also think that's because when we were starting it, I had said, I don't want us to talk and sound like we're talking out of our ass.
Yeah.
Because then a lot of people will call you out on shit, like, oh, well, actually, it's like this. Oh, well, actually, this. And it's like, I didn't want a whole bunch of fucking people to end up listening, or even just our friends and family, and be like, that's not fucking right. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I also have a habit of like, just happen to be like, if I don't know something, especially if I'm in the middle of conversation, I have no problem making up bullshit, because I'm smart enough to make up believable bullshit.
Yeah, me too.
But like, I don't really want to do that in a broad spectrum where literally like
on an open platform where tons of people can listen.
Yeah, where millions of people can tune in and be like, that's not true. But yeah, I don't know. I always thought it was more based off of like, I mean, like, this personal preference, but why like I like the idea for the show is like, it's more supposed to be about like the discussions you have when you're drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, I've never had a conversation with my friends that didn't end up getting deep as shit. And and they're not super smart and stuff like that, like in real life. But I don't really have a problem adding in the educational aspect of it, because I think like being drunk and actually learning about something like blows your mind even fucking more.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait next season when we get to do a space episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, like with the ocean episode, just like us kind of talking about like the Marianas Trench. By the way, dude, we didn't put so much shit in that fucking episode.
I know, there's so much that we like. Honestly, that's probably another one that we'll have to cover at another time.
Yeah, because we could have talked about like I think we did bring up the Marianas Trench, but we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't talk about like the different zones and like what pressure can fucking crush you, and like the Challenger Deep and shit like that. But yeah,
we might have mentioned the Challenger Deep, because I feel like I did, but I don't remember. I don't know. It's been so long now.
Yeah. But yeah, it for me, it's more based out like it's more for the discussions you have when you're drinking with your buddies.
Yeah.
But at least me drinking with my buddies and Chris drinking with his buddies, because I don't really talk about tits and ass and women and stuff like that, like most men generally do, or stereotypically do. But I don't know. I always talk about movies, video games, and kind of like deeper aspects, or like shit that pisses us off, like fucking certain religions and afterlife, and like I don't know, it's just really kind of cool things to talk about, especially when you get to like zone in on assholes like L. Ron Hubbard and H.P. Lovecraft. But yeah, personally, when it gets to how we feel about the show, Um, I don't know. I'm pretty comfortable on how we do it now. Um, I don't know. Like, it's not super difficult to do. Generally, we can get all our like if we really bust our ass, we can get everything done in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Like if we were gonna write a script, record, and edit, that can be like a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then episodes out on Monday. So like in that aspect, it's good. But as far as like the topics and stuff that we're talking about, like I don't really have a problem with like anything that we do. I think it's a good a good way to like use our improv skills and stuff like that. But I don't know. What do you think about how comfortable you are with the show?
Yeah, like I had said, it wasn't the way I originally intended the show on going, but I'm pretty comfortable with where it's at now. And I do, like, especially since we've added in the segments and, especially some of the running jokes and, just things like that. Like, I'm really happy to have incorporated a lot of those things and really happy to have gotten to do a lot of those things. And there's still more that I would like to do. But I'm just happy with the way the show has developed because I feel like it's we're amateurs at this, obviously. We've only been doing this for almost a year. But I feel like we do it really, really well for our skill set. I've never done anything like this other than a few YouTube videos. And, we both have like backgrounds in dabbling with music and, music technology type stuff and audio editing, shit like that. But I feel like we do really, really well for like what we have, like I said, as far as our skill set and everything. And just the show has gotten to a point where it's like, at least in my opinion, I feel like it sounds semi-professional,
Yeah.
Like I said, we are amateurs, so of course there's those amateur moments, and especially if you go back and listen to like the very first episode.
Yeah,
like,
the first three.
Dear God,
actually,
oof,
holy shit.
pretty rough. They're pretty fucking rough. Yeah, but I'm pretty proud of where they are now because I went back through like just last week, I think it was, and listened to a couple of them just to kind of catch up on like where we, how it's progressed, and it's gotten a hell of a lot better. Like we've gotten really good at just focusing in on our subjects and getting the editing and all that stuff down. Our mics aren't as terrible. Sometimes just fucking background noise and shit like that we can't really, control. But yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with the show. I really like where it's at. I don't plan on changing anything fundamentally with it. I'm pretty good with it,
Yeah, the only thing like we were planning to change next season, like I was anyway. I was gonna change like the some of the artwork and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what I'm gonna change it to. Chris knows.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, we're gonna change some of the artwork and stuff like that. First season, I feel like I'm kind of going through like with the artistry and stuff like that. Like as much as I would like to hire a professional to do it, I personally, because like our very first artwork was done by Chris, and it was a planet with like the Illuminati symbol, tentacles, and beers clanking above the Earth, and I don't know, like honestly, like it's weird because I look at that like now, like if I go into like our iTunes podcast page to like just look at analytics and stuff, like you still see that symbol because they don't update it.
Yeah.
So whenever I go in there, I'm like, why do I feel nostalgic about something like that only
that
happened
was
like,
only a little bit ago.
But yeah, and then we redid that. We made it more like tavern-esque with I don't know. I kind of wanted to make it match with the music that I made for the intro because it's the intro is more for it's played with a mandolin, I believe. So I wanted to make it like kind of, you walk into a tavern and shit like that. But also the drums are modern drums, which because I'm too lazy to fucking just edit like some like Irish what the fuck are they called? Borans or something like that. They're like Irish drums. Like I could have done that, but I'm just too fucking lazy. I was just like, fuck it, regular drum kit.
I don't know. I think it came out good. And it's actually funny. I wanted to bring this up, but Kira actually recognizes our theme song now.
Oh, really?
From like Crystal listening to it and everything. So yeah, because she was sitting on my lap while I was like doing some editing with the script and stuff like that. And I was playing like one of the one of the former episodes. I don't remember what for, but I was like listening to something, and it was at the part where it did Tippler's tidbit, and she was like, and it was like, you know, doing the Tippler's tidbit thing, and she was like trying to mimic it. Yeah, the Tipplers tidbit, and she was like singing along with that. And then I like skipped to the end where you're like, you know, bye, and then it starts playing our song. So she was like, bye, and then it just started playing, and she's like, again, Dad. I was like, oh, this is so great. She loves my own stuff.
Dude, okay, sidebar. I love the fact that I got to make it. Okay, if you guys don't know, I do make music individually under the name of Lil Toothless. So every time Chris calls me Toothless, or you know, Captain of the Gumtastic Voyage or Gummy Guzzler, I don't give a fuck because it's literally part of what I do. But yeah, I think I've mentioned it before, but I do make music. But I had just made a song called Nursery Rhymes with my daughter Lily, and yeah, it's the most fucking wholesome thing ever. But yeah, just like I literally just played like the intro. I can't even like remember how the melody goes, but I'll play the intro. She's all like, Daddy, it's our song. And I'm like, yeah. And by the way, if you guys just look that up on SoundCloud, it's the most wholesome shit you'll ever fucking hear.
Yeah, it's cute.
But yeah, I don't know. Like with anyway, with the artwork and stuff, I want to rehash it. Definitely not changing the theme song.
No,
just because the theme song's really, you know,
I think it's solid too. Like we've gotten a lot of, well, I've heard a lot of feedback about it, and it's all been positive. So.
Yeah, hopefully I can just make another fucking banger for our next podcast.
Yeah.
So outside of that, what do you want? What would you want to change about like the format of the show or anything like that? Like, would you want to change like the organization or even just like how we talk about stuff? Like, would you want to do a little bit more improv or less educational?
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like, I know I already mentioned it earlier, but there's a lot of people who have, like, wanted us to do less scripted, and I, of course, want that too, but, you know, I just don't want us, like I was, you know, saying, I don't want us to be talking out of our ass, not knowing what we're talking about, giving opinions on things that we're uneducated about, because I hate people that do that in real life, so I don't want to be one of those people, and it's hard to do that and not have a script, because then basically what you have to do is just basically lay out info to reference, and that's a lot harder to try to look at that information and figure out how to structure that into a sentence, you know, like structure it in a way to where you're going to relay that information back to a listener and they understand what you're saying, they're getting the information, and you're trying to also make it sound like you're just saying that. Yeah. I'd rather just write a fucking script, read it, do it my way. And I also think that that's something that we've gotten better at, is not just being robotic in the way that we read our scripts, where we're just like, what is this? This is that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we first started out, you can really tell that we're like reading a script. And I know that bothers a lot of people. So at first we weren't even going to mention that we're reading a script, but it's just so much better, because there's a couple episodes where, you know, we veered from the script. There's even one where we didn't use a script. We just used talking points. And I wouldn't say it was a bad episode or anything, but it's just definitely a hell of a lot less factual. You don't get half the information that you probably wanted out of it.
Well, which one was the one where we didn't use a script?
It was the time travel and the Mandela effect one.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's an episode that I really feel like we probably should have used a lot of factual stuff, and I still tried to integrate stuff, but it was like I was saying, you know, you kind of just have to bullet point it. Person reads that, and then they have to try to figure out how to make that into a sentence of their own. It's like, nah, I'd rather have the script, you get that information the correct way, and, you know, as this show is going on, as we're getting better at doing that, we develop our own way of saying that shit, and it doesn't sound so scripted. And like I said, I think we've gotten a hell of a lot better at doing that, to where we're not, you know, just script bots reading it right off the page. We're still adding in our own things. We're still saying our own jokes. Some of the jokes are written in, some of them aren't.
And you'll never fucking figure out which ones.
You might not never know. Because the delivery is all the same.
Yeah, that's true. But, like... oh my god. Dude, the fucking... the fucking one from last episode for the L. Ron Hubbard.
The L. Ron Hubbard one.
Okay, just so you guys know, before the year's up, anyway, I want to design a couple of shirts. where we are. I legit want to design a couple of shirts where it's just us. What the fuck is it? It's the giraffes one. We need to make a
we
giraffe.
definitely need to do that.
I want to make a giraffe graph chart. And then I want to make one with it. What the fuck is it? I can't remember the Lombardocris, or what the fuck did you say?
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit, that was the funniest fucking shit I've ever heard in my goddamn life. Well, you know, I want to pull it up right now. But like, it's just, holy god. Like, okay, I didn't even know if that was written in or not. And honestly, I still don't remember. But I was like half listening to what was going on. And, I was doing something else, and I fucking was listening to like L. Ron Hubbard. This is, his name is also Lubbard Ronathan Hubbard and shit like that. And, when he said LaShawn Ron,
LaShawn Rontheratrix Hubbardius.
Oh fuck, that was like the best shit on the fucking planet. Oh god damn!
I was cracking myself up when I wrote it.
I know. Well, like, what was it? I okay, fuck it. What was the one that I wrote? It was the it was the CIA one. I that was the one I did by myself. I can't remember what I wrote, but the segment for the Tipplers Tidbit fucking one. Holy shit, that made me crack up so fucking hard.
I can't even remember.
Oh yeah, I was saying that the CIA had their own
LSD
infused absinthe Project God Killer, street name Stank Juice. Yeah, and that's like I don't particularly like writing scripts at all, but like a lot of the fun is like whenever you're just like, okay, I feel like writing a joke now, and it's finally just like you're like writing this and you're like, that's not gonna work. Then finally you start fucking giggling over something, and then you just riff off of that, and it just gets more and more. Like, honestly, that joke would have gone on way fucking longer if it was up to me.
That's the thing too, is it's like half the time I'm writing a joke down, I'm like, I gotta try to slim it down because my jokes are always long running jokes.
Yeah, like if you know us personally, me and Chris won't let a fucking joke
go. I won't let it die. I'll just keep doing it all fucking day long until it's like stuck in your head and you start doing it.
Like, what was it, the shit they used to say when we were kids? You're like, you're an ass jack. Yeah. You are used to pry open asses.
You are used to pry open asses.
All right, fuck. Moving on. So I'm going to bring up our episode list, and I want to find out what our favorite episodes were as well as yours. So if you want to figure it out or let us know what your favorite episodes were, fucking message us at Tipplers Two Cents podcast at gmail.com, or message us on Facebook and let us know what your favorite episode or your least favorite episodes were and why, because that actually helps us a lot with writing the show.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to know, because I mean, even my dad let me know that he listened to it and he really likes the Bigfoot episode. He said that was his favorite. So
yeah, no, he told me that too. I don't know why.
I mean, I liked that episode. It was a little hard to record when we did it, but that was a good episode. I feel like it turned out okay.
Yeah.
First joke where I did some, well, not the first joke, but it was a joke where I did the Bear Grylls thing and stuff. Yeah, so stuff that I'd like to do more of, but I just didn't know if it ran well. I didn't know if it worked.
Dude, I 100% want to. I have a voice that I do in my house, and I was doing it at work because it's me. You've heard it, like it's me overly explaining shit in a Southern voice.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it's so fucking funny to me, but it is. And Brett called it my mansplaining voice.
Mansplaining.
Holy fuck.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to do so many more voices because that's all I do all fucking day.
Yeah,
I'm fucking constantly mimicking actors and movies and all sorts of shit. Now, even the last episode in the Scientology one, I think we talked about him, but we were gonna talk about John Travolta for way longer, and I was gonna do a fucking whole impression on John Travolta, but I just never got to. And I was like, damn it, man, I really wish I would have, because he could have been, doing fucking jokes where you're like, Sandy, Sandy, you can't walk out of Scientology.
That would be fucking great.
I'm like, fuck, man, I never get opportunities to do some of that stuff because it's like, the scripts get cut down or whatever, but...
All right, so Chris, what was your favorite episode of this season? I got this list right here from episode 1 to episode 19.
Yeah, previously it was the technology one. I had a lot of fun doing that one. I felt very passionate about everything we talked about. As well as the Jeffrey Epstein one. That one was like something that was a hot topic at the time. It was really fun to talk about. But I think my overall favorite was the last episode. It was Scientology. I was fucking enthralled in that stuff when we were doing the episode. I was watching the documentary, watching the Leah Remini show, and then just had like a blast actually looking up all the stuff about Elron and just more stuff about Scientology. Like it was like the first episode where it didn't feel like I was doing homework, you know? Because a lot of them, when I'm actually doing the research, I'm trying to find credible sources. I'm trying to find like shit that, you know, actually is interesting. And I'm like trying to basically make this fucking project for, you know, that I got to present. So like it felt like homework on a lot of these ones, but on the certain subjects where you get super passionate about them, like that one, it didn't feel like very draining to make an episode about, and it was really fun to do.
Yeah.
But what about you? What was your favorite?
I feel like episode 4, because it was more, actually, shit. There's a lot, because, okay, episode 2, we got into more, like, my, like, favorite kind of, like, aspects about, like, the universe and, like, the multiverse and stuff. Episode 4, which was the ocean depths, underwater creatures, and, like, the sea mythologies one. That was just a lot in one episode, just because we weren't just talking about the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, we actually were talking about, like, Poseidon and Neptune and, like, stuff like that. And, like, just fucking, like, didn't we even, I think we brought up the Loch Ness, like, briefly in it.
Yeah, we might have.
But yeah, it's just, like, certain episodes like that, even though they were really early on, I think that's when I was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to like this shit. Because even episode 1, where it was just about UFOs and stuff, like, I already kind of had my stance on it while we were writing the script, where I was just like, okay, well, it's not that I don't believe in aliens, but I don't believe in any of the bullshit for, like,
all the stories
Roswell.
that you hear about, yeah.
So it was just, like, that one was just hard to record as a first episode for me, just because I was like, like, I'm pretty hard stanced on it. Not that I wouldn't want it to be heard anyway as an episode, but, like, if you listen to the first episode, it's very much Chris trying to be open-minded and me just shutting that shit down.
Which I think is a lot of these episodes, honestly. I think I'm the more open-minded one, like, well, yeah, not to say that I'm fucking dumb, because I'm not. Like, I don't buy into every conspiracy. I'm pretty much like, for the most part, I'm like, that's probably not fucking true. But there's also a part of me where I'm like, but what if it is true? And if it is true, how do we find out if it's true? You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, like, I'm all for, like, being... Sorry, I know this is a sidebar. We're supposed to be talking about favorite episodes, but like as far as like ours, like how I think and versus how you think, it kind of like even just goes down to like how our religious beliefs are. Like I'm not gonna say any of your personal shit, but like I know why you were initially more or less atheist for a while, and then you fell back into like being kind of agnostic, and then something happened that ended up making you more religious again, and that's fine, and I honestly completely understand why. It's because after a while, coincidence stops being coincidence, and you start being more suspicious about coincidences. You're like, okay, there's no fucking way that there's not someone running the show.
It's just too many, like you said, just coincidence after coincidence. You're like, no, there's no way in how random life is supposed to be that coincidence is coincidence. Yeah. It starts to feel like fate. And fate has to be by design, you know. So, but let's not go into that.
But yeah, so like as far as that kind of shit goes, that's why I think he's more open-minded, is just because with certain aspects of like conspiracy theories and shit like that, like I'm all for being like, oh yeah, that would be cool, or that would be interesting, or that would be fucking terrifying. But like I'm very hard lined on something. If I think something's not real, it's not fucking real. And like, not to say that that doesn't sneak through every now and again, because you're goddamn right. If I turn down the lights downstairs, I'm running up those fucking stairs because I'm still scared of the dark. I have no fucking reason to be scared of the dark.
Don't eat my ass, demons.
Like referencing another show that Dan Cummins does, Scared of the Dark.
Scared to Death.
Or Scared to Death, sorry. Yeah, like there was this episode where he did where it was a ghost of... what was the ghost name? It was like Poe, where it was like the tall woman.
Hmm.
It was like an 8 foot tall ghost that would go. Poh,
That would scare the shit out of me.
poh. Yeah, and it was a Japanese story.
Of
So
course.
like, and of course, I'm doing like the traditional like Yurei visualization where it looks like Samara from The Ring, and it's 8 foot tall and just going like, poh, poh. And I was like, fuck, and I'm listening to it in my headphones, and then of course I'm like, okay, I'm done with the episode, and then I look around and I realize that I've just been on my computer looking at a screen for the past fucking 2 hours or however long that episode was, and I was like, fuck. So yeah, not to say that I'm not like instinctually scared of shit, because I'm still scared of like going to hell and stuff like that, just because that's how I grew up. I grew up Christian, but I don't know. That's more for me being nicer and not so much of a fucking asshole, which I wasn't like that the whole time. As pretty much as soon as I was like, oh yeah, I'm an atheist, I immediately turned into an absolute cunt. But anyway, that's what I think is why he's more open-minded and I'm not. Anyway, as far as my favorite episode, I really liked episode 10, which is our Greek mythology episode.
That was the first episode I can say that I got drunk on.
You got drunk?
Well, because I don't know if you remember, but I drank both my beers and then I drank some of the wine that you were having.
Oh yeah, we did that one.
Yeah, and I drink IPAs, so I'm not some pussy. But the IPAs that I drink are pretty, strong in alcohol content. And then I also drink wine. I remember I was looking at my screen and then I looked up from it and I just saw fucking like lines and I was like, whoa, I'm fucked up, dog.
I don't remember which one I drank Hennessy on, but that was the first time I got really drunk, where I was like,
yeah, that was pretty recent, right? That was like one of the more recent ones.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I don't know. It'd have to be a tie between Greek mythology, H.P. Lovecraft, and racism and homophobia, just because like not only are like those are like favorite mythologies and stuff like and mythoses and stuff like that, but I think like the top, of course, would probably be H.P. Lovecraft, just because even Chris could tell that was the one I really gave a shit about, that I like really did a lot of research in. Like I was going on forums to be like, what the fuck is this god, and what does this god do, and what is it, but that doesn't take away from like the racism and homophobia one, because by the way, the name super misleading, just because it's like has an exclamation mark at the end, so it's all racism, homophobia, and other forms of discrimination.
Oh, it's all cheery.
But that one I think was like really important.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them where I'm like, I hope they listen to this one. I hope a lot of people listen to this one. That's one I hope a lot of people listen to, because I feel like we addressed a lot of things, and I don't feel like we were very offensive in the way we were explaining on some of our, personal opinions on the matter. But I also feel like we just said some things very forcefully that need to be said on both sides of the spectrum, whichever, if you're for homosexuality or not. I feel like we kind of gave our opinion on both sides of it, and I just feel like both sides of those need to be heard.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of episodes where we're very much addressing what's going on currently, like the Jeffrey Epstein episode. That was around the time that Wayfair scandal was going out, which me being me, I thought it was fucking dumb.
But then the racism one with George Floyd and all that.
Yeah, that one. I felt like we really had to do it. Me and Chris both took part, and not in protests, because we have families and we're not going to get into it.
Yeah.
But we did take part in the blackout day and stuff like that, just because it's not something that's okay at all.
Nah.
And I don't give a fuck who you are. Like, honestly, I kind of get it if you grow up, like, I'm not gonna lie. I think I said this in the episode. Like, me and Chris both grew up where we're playing games and we're like, oh, you fucking fag and shit like that. Which generally, as a kid, no one's gonna take a kid seriously. But some people just don't grow out of that, and they don't understand
they don't understand why it's offensive to say that.
Yeah, that's why I'm not gonna shit on myself being younger and saying really hateful words. But I don't fucking say those words now. At least, not in any sort of form that can harm anybody directly.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lie to you guys. It's not like I never say these words, but I never say them the way that they're intentionally.
Not as a hate word.
Yeah. It's more for like shock value or comedy, and some people might disagree with me even on that, which I'm not faulting you for.
Yeah, it's like, it's okay. Like, that's the one thing that I always want to like try to stress on this show too, is if you don't agree with us like on our opinions about stuff or the way that we think about shit, fine. That's fine. We don't have to agree. Like, there's shit me and Sean don't agree about. Like, I'm pretty sure we've probably heard that in this show. Like, if we don't agree, that's fine. But understanding where somebody can come from and everything, I think that's key. Because I can always understand where somebody else is coming from about things for the most part. And it just boils down to the fact that you have to understand, like, you got to put yourself in their shoes about certain subjects and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's just, I hate people that block that out. Like, no, you think like I do or you're wrong. It's like, no, that is never how the world works. When has it ever been that black and white?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just like being in that kind of, being in those shoes, like how you said, just being in a position where you're like, you're not allowed to love who who you want to love, or you're filled with fear all day simply because of something that you couldn't control, like the color of your skin. Like, that is absolute fucking horseshit, and no one should have to fucking deal with that. So yeah, as far as how important an episode is, episode 14 is definitely my favorite. As far as personal preference, like, entertainment value, H.P. Lovecraft is my favorite.
So what about the listeners? What was their favorite, at least according to analytics?
According to oh no, let's see.
Because I'm curious too, because I don't think this is a question that I've asked, and I'm usually like the one that asks you this kind of stuff.
Episodes.
Don't have to say specific numbers, but just to...
Recently, the most famous one was Dante's Inferno.
Surprising.
Yeah. And then, like, you can always kind of tell whenever we release an episode.
Yeah, there's a huge spike in numbers.
Yeah, some of them, like, we'll just go off of the most viewed. Top 10 most downloaded episodes as of this last month. So, yeah, it was Dante's Inferno. But it goes back all the way to episode 4. So I think it's still relevant to say Dante's Inferno was the favorite, which is pretty cool. And that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me. But, I don't know. What was your least favorite episode, do you think?
I don't know. Let me think about that, because there's a few episodes where I was like, that was kind of rough. I wish we would have had more time. Like, I think we brought up earlier the Are We Getting Dumber one. That's one that I think turned out a little bit rough, that I feel like we could have spent more time on. Could have tried to figure out better ways to word some of what we said. I don't think that it was a bad episode. I just think that it was one we could have done better on. So I still think it turned out well. But there's definitely more I would have liked to say about that kind of stuff. And then, again, the time travel and the Mandela effect, I still really like that episode, but I just feel like that probably wasn't the right one to
bring so many topics in on.
Those both could have been their own topic,
Yeah.
And that's just fault of learning. We're still trying to experiment with the way that we're doing the episodes and stuff like that. But just one thing that I wanted to get with this show is to not spend too long talking about one subject, because you can get a lot of one subject into one episode and still have enough time to like combine it with another. And there's a couple other podcasts that I've listened to where they just talk about one thing for way too long, and you just end up zoning out because it's boring, And it's like, you're like, what? Wait, when you zone back in, you're like, why am I hearing about this? Like, it'll be like, and L. Ron Hubbard, he would used to eat oats for breakfast. I can't believe he used to eat oats for breakfast. You're like, why the fuck do I care what he ate for breakfast? That's why I didn't start with like his fucking early life, because it's like, you can wrap it up and still get the gist of what needs to be said. Like, he traveled around, he did a lot of fucking,
Yeah, like if they had relevance, like if he was like abused as a kid or some shit, like you might want to.
Yeah, then that would be a worthwhile thing to talk about. But for the most part, all he spent was time like traveling around the world and shit like that. Which, I mean, if you pick it apart and dissect it, would have been great to talk about. But you can sum it up just like I did right now. He traveled the world, looked, studied other ancient cultures and religions, and that brought his fascination to religion. And we talked about that. So it's like, got the gist of it. But just the time travel and Mandela effect one, I feel like we should have split those up into separate subjects, separate episodes at least.
I think we can get a second shot at that when we go into the space one.
Yeah.
Because we are 100% doing a space episode.
Yep.
Kind of more to counter the ocean one, because those are the two least amount of shit that we know about in this universe. We don't know fucking jack shit about the ocean. We don't know jack shit about space. Honestly, we don't really know jack shit about anything. Like, as far as like humans knowledge about the universe goes, because like I don't know. I think it's fucking fascinating that we know more about space technically than we know about the ocean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. My least favorite one, I would agree with you about the Are We Getting Dumber one. Just so you guys know, I wrote that one, and it's dense as shit because I was really into the topic, like, going into it, and I was like, I think it's really important to try to talk about this kind of stuff, because it does have to do with like our education system, how our economy's going, and stuff like that. But then halfway through writing it, I'm like, oh yeah, a lot of this shit's boring as shit to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to make jokes. Like, aside from people being like, oh, well, this guy's stupid, haha. Like, it's like, no, like, I'm literally talking about all people. So it's really hard to like make jokes about people being dumb when I'm literally talking about everybody. So,
and nothing like insulting our audience to their face.
Yeah, and I mean, like, short of me making fun of myself, which I'm pretty sure I did in that episode, I might not have, but yeah, like I'm a high school dropout, and I feel like I'm pretty smart for being a high school dropout, but I'm also one of those people that I don't believe in our educational system and how it is.
Well, I'll say too, it's just important to really have a grip on common sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of people seem to lack that. Like, even smart people, like, I know that sounds counteractive, but there's a lot of smart people that I've known that just seem to lack common sense. Like, I'm like, how the fuck do you not know this stuff? Like,
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it seems like being smart is subjective, because it really does come down to what you're good at. Like, I don't give a fuck. That's why, like, I disagree with how our educational system is. I think there should be like a better vetting process on like what kids are more responsive to. Like, if I would have taken the same class you did in high school with like GarageBand and shit, I would have lost my fucking mind. But I didn't. I took fucking advanced geometry and like early calculus, and I was like, this is boring as fuck, because they're like, oh, but you showed signs of being gifted in middle school. I'm like, that's cool. I don't like fucking math though.
Yeah.
I like math when it pertains to my money or BPM and fucking frequencies and shit.
That's also what I just think needs to be changed about our education system. It just needs to be more focused on day-to-day how your life is actually going to be. Not, you need to know the fucking, you need to know degree of a fucking triangle and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, when have I ever used that in my day-to-day life? I need to know how to balance my fucking checkbook, and I need to know how to fucking
do taxes.
Yeah, do my taxes. Like, fucking that stuff's important. But it's totally a separate subject that we probably should have just talked more on that episode.
Exactly. Like, that's one of the reasons. Like, we didn't.
One of the reasons why it's not, one of our least favorite.
Honestly, my like that one. I will probably say it's my least favorite. Like the one one I made. Well, not one I made, but one I wrote. The other least favorite is probably the Bermuda Triangle one. Not that it didn't have a lot of information. It's another one, kind of like episode 1, where it's just like I already knew the stance and I already knew a lot about this kind of shit. Where it was pretty much just like, question, no answer. Like, that's pretty much it. Like,
that's my only draw on that one, is like a lot of questions, no answers. I kind of hate open-ended stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then why are you telling me all this? I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people that asked us about that shit, so.
Yeah. I don't know. With like, as far as that episode, it's just like the Bermuda Triangle. Like I said, there was the one instance where I'm like, a plane magically fucking disappeared over the horizon in Florida, and no one can still explain how, which is fascinating in by itself. But like, at the end of the day, that's really it. And there's a lot of anomalies that has happened. Like, I don't remember where we left off for what's it called? Fucking the Skinwalker Ranch one. Like, honestly, I don't like that. That's one of those things. It's not memorable for me.
Well, I remember like we talked about the hunter's dogs like going into the forest and like getting butterized and weird shit like that. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's just also from like how many subjects we've covered. It's hard to like remember each one, but
Oh yeah, no, you're right, because that one was just basically a dude just talking out of his ass.
yeah, and we were kind of making fun of that guy because he's saying some really outlandish shit.
Yeah. All right, so I kind of want to go into more about our new show, which is really weird to talk about on this show, but it's fine because we still have to market it. So our new show is cinematography, and I'm gonna let Chris lead on what cinematography is about.
Yeah, so in case you can't tell, cinematography is a wordplay on cinematography. So on cinematography, we're just going to talk about all things cinema. And obviously, this is just a huge passion project for me and Sean because, yeah, as you can tell from like Tipplers Take Two and stuff like that, we talk about movies a lot. And it's just a subject that we really like. Like, all day long, I could talk about movies. I could fucking talk all day long about movies. And I spend a lot of my off time trying to watch movies or shows and stuff like that. And even ones that I'm like not particularly interested in, I'll find myself going back to just watch them if they're like some sort of cult classic or whatever, because I want to know about them. And I want to know why it's such a cult classic and if it's overrated or if it's not. And, that show in particular will just give us that platform to be able to talk about those kind of things specifically. So that's what the show's about. That's exactly why we're starting that show, because I'm sure that many of you can tell that, like in Tipplers Take Two, we talk about movies for quite an extended period of time. Like actually, there's a few episodes where a big majority of the episode is us talking on Tipplers Take Two. So yeah, that's why we're starting this show, because we can get more in depth about some of the stuff we've talked about, more in depth about particular subjects within cinema that like have meaning to us and not just about movies that are, central to like whatever we're talking about for the topic of the day, so like every episode we always have a Tipplers Take Two for the subject that we're talking about. This we can have a different subject in particular that we're talking about that has nothing to do with anything other than that's what we want to talk about today. So
yeah, like literally in cinematography, we can have an episode on why is Keanu Reeves the best, and we can reference all of his movies, his acting methods. We can talk about, like, it's not just
we don't just have to talk about The Matrix or John Wick or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we can actually go in on like actors' lives and like their acting methods. One I kind of wanted to talk about was Jared Leto, because honestly I think he's a great actor, and like just like recently he got the role of Morbius, the living vampire in for the MCU, which I think is fucking perfect for him.
So he gets a redemption chance at being a Marvel or a superhero, like comic book character. So.
Yeah, but and obviously, as Chris just referenced, he was recently a comic book character, which did not do well.
Not so good.
And it's not even that I wasn't excited about him being the Joker. I honestly was excited about him being Joker.
Yeah, I didn't think he would be a bad one.
But it was just so shittily fucking written that, it seems like every time I read into it, it's like a one-sided thing where it's like, oh, well, he actually said a lot about how he wanted the Joker to be. It's like, okay, but his acting wasn't even that bad playing the Joker. It's just how they kind of made, because I get what they were trying to make him, like they were trying to make him a modern mafioso, because the original Joker, like in the comics, was
a mobster.
Yeah, was a mobster, so they were trying to make him a gangster.
Like updated a little.
Yeah, and I get it. I really do, but it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, whereas like Heath Ledger, where a lot of his good backstory is the fact that he doesn't have one, and then there's speculation that even like Patton Oswalt, a really famous comedian, has like chipped in on where he was like, oh well, he was probably a military intelligence officer. That's why he knew how to interrogate people and how to break them down, and how he tricked that one guy into like coming to beat his ass. Where he's all like, he's like, how many of your friends have I killed? And then he's all like, 5. He's like, 5. Like, yeah, like just shit like that. Where he's trying to like break him.
Super brilliance in Heath Ledger's performance and just the way that character was written.
Yeah, and that's like the main thing about the Joker, is all about speculation. Whereas Jared Leto's Joker, like,
there was nothing to take away in the background. It was all at face value.
Yeah,
it was all just right in your face. You got him within 2 minutes of seeing him on screen.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like, and the thing was like, to give him some credit, there wasn't a lot of screen time for him either. It wasn't really about the Joker. It was about Harley Quinn, which I don't really care. Margot Robbie did a great job playing Harley Quinn.
Mm.
But as far as like how he played her and like how they made him and like Harley Quinn's romance like bounce off each other like that. First of all, that never existed. They didn't have that was a one-sided relationship through and through in the comics and pretty much like in the cartoons and shit too, where Joker was just an absolute cunt to fucking Harley Quinn. So I don't like where they're like, he was the queen, she was the queen, blah blah. It's like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, see, we're already fucking talking about movies way too much. Anyway,
Let's just talk about 2020 as a whole.
Yeah. 2020. So you already said that you started off the year losing a job. Little fact, actually, we didn't start talking about making Tipplers Take Two until you had got a job back, because we were working at the same place at the time.
Yeah, but I don't think we started it until
I was still working there. I think you might have left, or no?
Yeah, because it was after I left, and that was basically why I had the time to do it, is because that was when I had to move back in with Mom.
Yeah, that's true.
My year was rough. Like I said, it started out January, fucking right off the bat, losing my job. Then I got another job in February, moved in with Sean, but due to just some extenuating circumstances, had to move again, and lost that job. Had to go move back in with my mom, embarrassingly enough. And then from there, that was kind of when the Tipplers Take Two Tipplers 2 Cents started happening. And thank God for that, because I was pretty depressed in that time. Not gonna lie, it was a pretty depressing time, and that kind of helped distract from all that. And I think it was like, honestly, from that point that like 2020 started getting a little bit better, because after that, at least for me, we started doing that, and I eventually got a job back in the Valley, Phoenix, and so I moved back with some roommates. And we've been, there ever since. They're pretty good roommates. Hannah, Isaac, love you guys. Yeah, and then actually after following that job, which turned out to be, kind of like another dead-end job, I ended up getting my new career, which is as a mortgage analyst for a bank. So, I mean, it's starting to, things are starting to turn around. It's a little, it's towards the end of the year now, but things got better. And, I hope that plays into anything that's happening for anybody else. Like, if shit's been rough this year for you, just wait. Things will turn around for you. Just gotta kind of have faith in whatever you want to believe in, that things will get better for you. But it got better for me. I know a lot has happened this year that it's just been shit. The coronavirus thing obviously has been rough for everybody. The dealings with racism that we've had to deal with, like we've talked about the George Floyd thing. Fucking murder hornets, whatever happened with that shit?
Yeah,
what the fuck? That was like that. That's like the biggest plot hole of 2020 for me. What the fuck? That came and went, and then we heard like nothing about it. I don't know. It's fucking weird. Then dealing with the stuff with Donald Trump. Like, I know everybody fucking hates his guts. I'm not saying I fucking like him or anything, but just the election stuff that happened, and yeah, honestly, this is like the worst election fucking I've lived through.
This is the one election I paid attention to, because I was like, this is never going to end well.
I hate both candidates, so I don't care who you vote for. I hate them both. They both fucking suck. But yeah, we had that going on in the background of all of this. Fucking riots. Just like, Jesus, this year was nuts. I don't know, like, what do you think about this year, though? What do you think for 2020? How would you grade it on like a scale of 1 to 10 for you personally?
Me personally?
Hmm?
It's a 10, my guy.
You're really fucking mint.
This is no different than every other year for me. Fucking, guess what, dude? Like 5 years ago, I was on heroin. I don't really give a shit. This isn't anything to me. But no, realistically, like, obviously, it's a pain in the ass. Brittany had to go on, excuse me. Brittany had to go on, what the fuck is it called? Furlough from her old job. And she had to start getting paid, what's it called? The workers, or what the fuck ever, unemployment.
Oh yeah, a
So
lot of people have had to deal with that.
Yeah, so she had to be on unemployment, so that means I had to be the head honcho for a little while. And not that she was the head honcho, because I'm always the head honcho. I wear the pants. But no, I mean, like, it wasn't a bad year. Obviously, like, we're recording this in my 2-story house right now, so I didn't have a bad year, but it's certainly not looking great. Just because, like, I went from an old job as a cashier to another job working in a metal shop, and then I went back to my old job. Reasoning is redacted, because honestly, I just wasn't happy there. And I've tried to explain this to Chris, and he just doesn't understand, because it
It's
wasn't
fine,
a bad
dude.
place.
Like I get it. It's
I just
fine.
fucking did not like that job. I don't know
So
why.
we both worked there, by the way. We both worked there at the same time, and I liked it there. It's just weird. It's a weird
So
thing.
whenever
Like,
I
I
was
like
like, I
doing
don't
it,
want to.
but
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to be here. You're like, what? Why?
I'm like, this place is great compared to what I've worked. So I don't know.
Yeah, but I had to deal with like a different supervisor and shit like
Yeah,
that.
and that's the only thing is I basically worked by myself over there. Like
Yeah.
the only person I had to interact with was somebody that would pop up every 10 minutes throughout an 8-9 hour day. And then
Yeah, you all right?
yeah, they're like,
Okay.
"Hey, you doing good over here?" "Yep, I'm fine." I'm like, "All right, I'll fuck off." And then I was dropping off metal. I'd be like, "Is this going to be the last order?" "No." "Okay." And then that was it. That was like my interactions for the day.
Yeah, whereas, like, I don't know, I had to do more like detailing work and shit like that, so it was a pain in the ass. But like, then I went back to being a cashier, and actually, I'm basically making more here now than whenever I was working at the metal shop. Because at the metal shop, I would be making we would get our paychecks every 2 weeks, and now I make paychecks every week, and it's technically lower on paper, but because of taxes, I'm basically making the same amount, because they would take out more for taxes bi-weekly.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm making the same amount or more ish. So it doesn't really bother me. Outside of that, I mean, like I said, it's a little bit stressful. It's always going to be stressful, but for me, like, my routine hasn't really changed. I don't fucking leave the house. I'm a hermit. I don't like talking to people. Like, I barely, me and Chris barely talk when it's not anything to do with the show, or like,
Yeah.
hey, did you see this trailer? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that's like why like Corona hasn't really bothered me that much. I mean, just recently my roommate got it, and that was kind of rough just because we had to quarantine ourselves specifically to our room. But I mean, for the most part, I work from my room because I get to work remote. So I work out of my room. My hobby is on my computer. Our podcast is on the computer. I sleep in that fucking same room. So I mean, it didn't fucking affect me any. Like I could live and die in my room. I don't give a shit.
No. So let's go a little bit more hopeful and aspirational. So what are your holiday plans?
Yeah. So yeah, after this, next weekend I'm gonna go camping. Uh, see Jade, my girlfriend's sister. Her husband has just been recently going through boot camp and all that stuff. Just recently graduated. He's coming back, so we're gonna go camping, have some fun there, and after that, just go visit the family for whatever we're doing for a holiday, dinner stuff, which is going to be kind of rough to figure out because I know everybody changes their shit because of the COVID thing, but I'm hoping it'll play out like Thanksgiving did, and we still were able to get together and have little smaller but good family gatherings, and just hopefully it'll be a nice chill time and get to see family that I haven't seen in forever. I feel like I never get to see mom anymore, so
Yeah. Yeah, tell me about it, dude. I haven't visited her in so fucking long. I feel bad, but like,
I mean, I just saw her on Thanksgiving, but it was like even tonight she had like texted me like, "Hey, I'm making fried chicken. I wish you were here." I'm like, "Fuck, dude!" Like it always hits me.
yeah, you're all, I want fried chicken.
I'm like, "Fuck, dude! I love my mom's cooking." So yeah, I'm hoping I get to see her over the holiday and stuff, and of course, having a child now and getting to experience the Christmas thing through your child is like a nice different change. Because now, of course, Christmas don't really mean shit to me, but now it's like, yeah, I get to experience it from the other side where I'm the parent now and I get to see my kid light up when she gets to open presents. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, my holiday plans are pretty much just sit, play Cyberpunk. No, obviously, I'm going to be working just because I don't have a job that, dedicates holidays off, which is fine with me. But I got my girls a trampoline, and I I'm gonna be doing a belated Christmas present for my stepdaughter. I'm gonna be building her a PC, um, and that's gonna be probably around March. So it'll be like her Christmas slash birthday present.
Cool.
And then my youngest, I'm gonna get. I already got. It's a big box behind us that you can't see. I'm sorry, but it's a big old box. It's a Minnie Mouse quad, like a little
Nice.
battery
Yeah,
operated
the little
quad.
battery operated.
But yeah, and it's just like Chris said. I personally have no attachment to holidays anymore. But that's a good thing about having kids. Is you get to kind of like relive it through them. You get to see how excited they are, and that's pretty much the only thing I'm excited for. I don't know if I'm going to see like the rest of my family. I haven't seen my aunt in forever. Like almost every year, they offer me to go to Thanksgiving, and I just haven't been going because I don't feel like driving because I'm always fucking tired.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't know. I'm just gonna have fun with the kids and stuff like that. But what do you hope for next year?
Yeah, so next year, obviously, I'm hoping that this coronavirus stuff will end just so that way things can go back to normal. Because, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty comfortable staying in my room for the most part. Like, I really don't care. I'm a hermit. But that doesn't mean I don't like to go out to eat. I don't like to go shopping. And it would be nice to not have to fucking do that with a mask on. It would be nice to not have to do that without worrying about us getting sick or getting other people sick and just all the shit that's happened with the coronavirus thing. I just like it to end already. Unfortunately, I don't think that it's going to end next year. I know people are really hopeful, but I really don't think it's going to. I think it's probably going to be about another year. I know it's going to suck to hear, but if it goes that long, you heard it here first. It's probably going to go for another year, especially with the spikes in numbers that they've been reporting recently. So that fucking sucks. But
Yeah, do you have the civilian app
no,
or citizen app? Sorry.
uh-uh.
Yeah, it's like every fucking day. It's like 2,000 people caught it today, and you're like, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like places like Florida and here and all that kind of shit like are just getting bad because we don't give a fuck about it, and it's unfortunate. But I just hope this all ends. Like, I don't care what side of the coin you're on, like whether you're playing it super safe, wearing your fucking mask, washing your hands, all that shit, practicing social distancing, all that shit. Like, I hope it just ends. I don't care. Like, I just want it over with.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to work towards a promotion at work pretty soon, so that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Hopefully, like April and May, I'll get that. That's what I'm aiming for anyway, because I want to try to get it like around tax season, and then May or not May, sorry, April is a 5-week month for me, so that means I get an extra paycheck.
Nice.
Which is good for being like a weekly paycheck kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I'll have just like $500 to fuck around with, which is super fucking nice. Not including, that fucking having a baby tax money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited just to try to like express some more shit creatively. I want to be releasing my album hopefully this month or January. And outside of that, I want to just kind of work on my editing and like Photoshop skills and stuff like that. So as far as that goes, what do you think is in store for fans like next year, or rather next season?
Yeah, so hopefully next year / next season is going to be infinitely better. Like I said, the start of this season is obviously super rough, but that's because we were just starting the show. And I feel like now that we've got our rhythm and everything, like especially the way that we have our layout, we've got our segments down, we know what we're doing a little bit better. I think the show is going to just get exponentially better. Like the topics will hopefully get a little bit better as well. So I'm looking forward to doing it. I think it's going to be a hell of a season, and we're also going to try to incorporate some new things, hopefully. I don't really want to share what those new things are because we don't even know yet. We're just going to keep experimenting, keep trying to make the show better.
I think the only thing I want to aim for that I feel comfortable saying is we want to implement face cams.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, but it's just going to require, obviously more money and more time and stuff like that, and just, but definitely going to try to make it happen if we can. Might not happen episode 1 for season 2, but hopefully we'll start getting that going.
Yeah, because you guys got to keep in mind, like audio editing is one thing, but video editing and audio editing, like just in this case, like right now, I am apologizing just because it's bedtime for my daughter and she might be crying in the background. So if you hear that, I apologize. but you might not hear it because I've already edited this. But for the aspect of like if me and Chris are separate, like if he's at his place and I'm at mine, and then one of our daughters like runs across the background or something like that, like you might see that, and I might not be able to edit it out because the audio is not, fucked up or anything like that.
So it's a lot of stuff that it just goes into play that you don't really think about with doing video.
Yeah, so that may or may not happen, but that I feel like we could get that done. Outside of that, I think we'll be doing okay for next year. I'm more just excited about the topics. I know I've already mentioned the space one, which is pretty much the only teaser you're going to get because
I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, I don't want to give it away. Give it away.
Give it away. Give it away. Give it away now.
But outside of that, obviously, you can always message us on Facebook or email us at tipplers2centspodcast@gmail.com and ask for specific episode requests or something like that, and we'll look into it. And if we're interested in doing it, then of course we'll do it, and we'll give you a personal shout out, obviously.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for the episode. There's something else about 2020 that we didn't talk about yet.
Yeah.
It's Tipplers Take Two.
Come on. So what's holding everything up here?
Art department.
So the grips are holding us back?
All right, try that take one more time.
1 second.
Hey, quiet on the set!
Tipplers Take Two. Mark.
Action!
Oh, fuck. Okay, so our favorite movies for this year, which we haven't written down because this is all free balling fucking freedom, my guy.
Yeah, so all you people asking for no scripts are getting what you wanted. So favorite movies for 2020. It's kind of hard because, like, we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but I can't even remember, like, half the movies that came out this year, and I feel like I keep thinking about movies that came out last year instead of this year. I'm pretty sure the Avengers movies didn't come out this year. That was last year, right?
Yeah, that was 2019.
Yeah, see, and it's like, and like you were talking about Joker, which I'm pretty sure came out last year, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck, I feel like I don't remember any movie from this year. I did watch Underwater. I can remember that one.
Underwater's fucking, I'm sorry.
Underwater was pretty good.
Onward,
yeah, that was a good one. That's like actually one of Kira's personal favorites. We always use it to put her to sleep, which I know sounds like a bad thing about the movie, but it's just like a nice, enjoyable movie.
It's gonna be the quickest fucking Tipplers, fucking
yeah,
Tipplers Take Two ever. I actually did watch Sonic.
Oh, you did? Was it any good?
It was pretty good, actually. Like I watched it, and it was okay. It wasn't like anything amazing. Obviously, it was like definitely a kids movie, but yeah, it was nice seeing Jim. Like, really, only thing I gave a shit about. It's nice seeing Jim Carrey kind of get back to like more of his like goofier roots and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually heard a lot of people say that they liked him in that role, and I would like to see him like that because he kind of like took that dramatic route a little too long.
Yeah.
And then just kind of like fell out of being in movies in general. And he's like one of my personal favorites, so I would like to see him again,
One of them I do want to mention, because I heard it didn't actually do too bad. It was the New Mutants movie that finally fucking came out. Yeah, see 32% on Rotten Tomatoes, but Rotten Tomatoes is kind of harsh. But yeah, like on Google users, 74% like this movie. So it's not that it was bad, apparently. It was just like, it's been fucking waited on for so goddamn long. People probably just stopped giving a shit.
Yeah, I will say, as far as like, I know these aren't movies, but like TV shows, The Mandalorian, fucking
oh my god,
awesome.
Dude, you finally watched it?
I've been watching The Mandalorian like since it started.
Really?
Yeah.
How have we not talked about this yet?
I don't know. I didn't know you were watching.
Yeah, I was watching it.
But yeah, The Mandalorian is like the best thing that's happened to the Star Wars universe since the originals, honestly.
Since Rogue One.
Rogue One, Rogue One was actually fucking dope, and they're actually doing a little bit of a spin-off of that show.
Squadron and,
yeah, so...
Yeah, did you see the whole... Dude, have you seen the fucking Ahsoka Tano episode?
Yeah.
God damn, that fucking episode was dope.
Yeah, I just watched the new one last night, the new episode.
I don't spoil anything because I haven't watched like the last 2 or 3. But
really?
Yeah, I watched the Ahsoka Tano one. I was like, holy shit, that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, so she's getting her own spin-off now too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, Ahsoka Tano, Rogue Squadron. I think Darth Plagueis is getting his own spin-off.
Yeah, there's like fucking 20 Star Wars spin-offs, which is a little overbearing, but I'm hoping
honestly,
most of them turn out okay.
Honestly, I think it's good. I did watch. I know this isn't a 2020 movie, but I did watch The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I actually watched that for the first time this year.
It wasn't okay. Here's the thing. I know Chris doesn't like the new trilogy. I don't have a problem with the new trilogy. It's just I feel like it was unnecessary.
Totally.
Because it did, like, the original trilogy ended, or the original, like, not trilogy, but I guess it would be quintilogy?
Yeah,
Whatever.
I don't know what.
It was episodes 1 through 6 were fine. And it could have just ended there, and then the rest of it could have been just fucking Star Wars, like, spin-offs and stuff like that. Like, if there was just a movie about Boba Fett, that's fine. But it's all about timing as well. And honestly, like, I don't think The Mandalorian would have done as well unless the new trilogy...
Because of the hype it generated around... Yeah. I mean, I guess that's fair.
And they kind of did, like, the testing shit where they did the Han Solo movie, which... The Han Solo movie wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was somewhere in between. I didn't think it was like shit or anything. But Rogue One, I fucking loved.
Yeah, Rogue One was great. And then The Mandalorian is just as great. It's doing like fucking wonders for the universe. Somehow it's like a spin-off, but it's incorporating just shit from the old movies, shit from the prequels, shit from the side off fucking animated series. I'm like the people in charge of this, Jon Favreau and what's his name, like Dave Filoni or something like that, they know what they're doing. They're paying attention to the source material, and it's great that they're actually getting back to the roots, still making new stuff that doesn't just rely on the nostalgia of the old shit. And that's my biggest problem with the new trilogy, is it just seems like it's all relying too much on nostalgia and not enough on its own merit, you know?
Yeah, like it seems like The Mandalorian does a good job on like bringing CGI into the mix, but also knowing when to use practical effects for like certain aliens, like,
like Baby
just
Yoda.
the fact for like Grogu.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers, but that's Baby Yoda's name. It's Grogu. But yeah, like Grogu is all practical effects, and then like Ahsoka Tano has practical makeup on, which most of the characters that are like generally alien, they have practical makeup on, like
and it's good. It just works better.
Yeah, like the character from the first episode, he's fucking hilarious. I don't know why I think he's so funny, but that like half fish guy.
Yeah, the blue dude.
Yeah. Sorry, I gotta evacuate.
But another show I wanted to mention too was The Boys. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch that.
No, I fucking love The Boys. God
that
damn.
show's really good. And that was a surprise one too, because when I first heard about it, I wasn't that interested. And basically, the only reason that got me to watch it was because of what's his name, the guy that plays Butcher. I can't remember his fucking name. But yeah, he's a really good actor. He's in a lot of stuff that like he doesn't get a lot of like super good face time. Carl Urban, that's his name. Yeah, Carl Urban. I like him. That was basically what got me to watch it, and then I just ended up falling in love with fucking everything about the show, and especially the guy who plays Homelander. Doesn't seem like he's a very big name, but I feel like this is really going to put his face on the fucking map, and that's a good thing because he's a really good, like...
He was in a show where he was like in prison or something like that, and he ends up like beating the absolute fuck out of people.
Huh.
Like, I can't remember...
yeah, I would like to see him in more stuff because he's fucking a really good, like, actor, like, really good at being intimidating.
Yeah, like, he's like... I don't know, he's exactly Anthony Starr. But yeah, he's exactly what like Homelander should be, where like he's supposed to be charming and stuff like that, but when he's fucking scary, he is fucking scary.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that show and you're like into superheroes and stuff, I guess I could say that that's the right show for you, but at the same time, it's not so much like superheroes in the typical sense. It's like a really dark take on superheroes and really like political kind of take on superheroes. So yeah, it's like pretty much more of a realistic take on superheroes because, you have to deal with them being like responsible for marketing and within the military and just all sorts of different shit. And then about how it affects other people and shit like that.
Yeah. So. Like the newest season has to be like with them being not drafted, but like working for like military ops and stuff like that. Like they go into like more like, oh, why does America is the only, like, I like that. Like, that's probably one of the biggest plot devices is like, America is the only country that has superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
and then they go into like why that is and stuff. I'm obviously not gonna spoil anything, but like yeah, they go into like a lot of shit, and like one of their biggest ploys is like, oh well, God chose us. And
Yeah.
it's just like, obviously that's not true, but that's all I'm gonna give you. But it's a fucking good show.
Yeah, it's super good, and the CGI holds up pretty well, I think, at least for being a TV show. 'Cause a lot of the time, that's one of my big peeves about TV shows is when they use CGI and it's not so good. There's some bad moments. I'm not gonna lie. There's some bad moments of CGI in that show, but there's some good ones too.
Oh, actually, I will mention one more. It's Bill and Ted Face the Music.
I haven't got to watch that yet.
It's
but-
actually pretty fucking wholesome, dude. It's a good movie.
I mean, I've heard like if you're a fan of those movies that it's good, but I was never a big fan of the old ones. So I love Keanu like to death, but that just I don't know.
Well,
Bill
it's
and
a
Ted
thing.
aren't
I
me.
think he's done so much serious acting. Like you can kind of tell he's just like, hey, Bill.
It's like I gotta get this fucking paycheck. Let's hurry up.
But no, like, and it's not too bad. Like, but they do like, obviously they bring in the new like CGI and the new fucking special effects and stuff. So it's really good. But yeah, like, there's very few times where like a musical number or like whatever can like make me like be like, oh, it's beautiful. But like, basically, obviously, if you've seen the trailers, you have to know the climax is them finally playing the song that unites the world, and it's not like an amazing song or anything that you've never heard or anything before, but it's the message that goes with it. Fuck, I really want to say it, but yeah, I'll explain it to Chris after because I don't want to ruin anything. But it's just like so wholesome, like what it turns out to be, and yeah, it was actually a really surprisingly good movie. Like it, probably didn't do as well as people might have liked because it's just like, but at the same time, it's just kind of the same kind of cult classics like Super Troopers or
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, that's pretty much it. Like we're kind of running out of time. We
Yeah.
got to record that new show for you guys. So that is pretty much it for today's Tipplers Take Two.
And cut.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.
A long, weird year, a new weird show. Thank you guys for sitting with us for this special closing episode of Tipplers 2 Cents. If you'd like to hear more from us, please check us out on Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, basically all of your favorite listening platforms. If you'd like to reach out to us directly, feel free to message us via Facebook or Instagram, or you can email us at tipplers2centspodcast@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to help support the show, please leave us a review on whichever platform you are listening on. These reviews go a long way in helping us reach the ears of new listeners as well as potential sponsors. If you'd like to support us further, you can visit represent.com/store/tipplers2cents and grab yourself a shirt and support your love for the show. And our Save the Children t-shirt is still fucking available, and we highly encourage you to pick one up. 100% of our proceeds from those shirts go directly towards the donation for the Child Rescue Coalition.
Yeah, guys, but that about wraps up today's episode and season 1 of our show. So we will see you next year when the aliens come to visit us and finish off what's left of the human race as we form a human rebellion to overthrow our new galactic leaders. Or maybe we'll just see you next time for season 2 of Tipplers 2 Cents. So long, everyone. God bless, happy holidays, and happy new year.
Please remember to drink responsibly and think responsibly. Bye.